What's going on, family? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? This is Chief Kalanago Flying Eagle. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody is having an amazing day thus far. Um, got some more information for y'all this evening. Let me just make sure I'm good on Facebook. Give me 1 second, please. Family, what's going on? What's going on? All right, we good on Facebook. All right. Yes. First of all, I want to acknowledge the great spirit, universal intelligence, universal all, the great I am. Definitely want to acknowledge my ancestors. I want to thank them for always guiding and protecting me. Just pretty much guiding me. Yes, when I ask for guidance and direction, when I'm seeking, they always make things revealed to me. So I'm appreciative of that. And I know that my protection is guaranteed, in my ancestors, and any weapon formed against me will never prosper. All right, I know that. And anybody who come up against me, of course, I put them in the hands of the ancestors and ask them to deliver the most horrendous wrath, because I do not forgive people that want to hurt me intentionally. That's not how the universe works. So I don't forgive. Okay. But with that being said, life is beautiful. Let's live life to the fullest. Okay, we're gonna get right into this evening because I have a few things I want to go over. Hopefully, I could get through it all. But if not, then of course we could always do another session. It's all good. It's all love. All right. Now, if you guys are doing good, let me know. Go ahead and type some ones in the chat real quick. Okay. Make sure you guys share that information. Guys, check this out, man. Share this information with the family, the children. You know what I mean? We got to keep this alive. We got to keep the culture. We got to keep that alive because it was lost, for many, many, many centuries, and to no fault of our own. I mean, of course, we know that our entire land, our motherland was colonized, first by people who look like us, and now, it's the Pillman, and now it's a culmination of just different ethnic groups that think, they could just do what they want, so that's where we are at. But bringing back the culture, bringing back our identity as who we are, then there are major steps we could take into reclaiming what's ours. Okay, we will not get into that right now, but I tell people, being who you are is more than just putting on a feather. Even with putting on feathers, there's levels to that. There's education in that, and that's why I'm doing all these videos, just to give people something to relate to, but education is the key. The knowledge is the key. That's the most important thing. Okay, it's the knowledge. So just want to drink some water real quick. With that being said, let me share my screen, and we're gonna start with Mother Mound. Now, all this is oral stories that were told. Again, every culture have their oral stories, so I'm just sharing some with you. Okay, so hopefully you guys find some value in the information that's about to be shared this evening. All right, and once again, greetings to each and every one of you. All right, of course, you go to our site, www.ipnan.org. That's the site I created for us with a lot of information on there, and we have a whole lot more to come. All right, so that's in the spirituality / religion section, and this evening we are going to go over the Emerald Mound. Okay, so here we are, Mother Mound. Okay, Nani wa iya. A long time ago, people were created at the mound called Nani wa iya. First to come out of the mound were the Muskogees. They sunned themselves on the even rampart, and when they got dry, they traveled east. By the Tombigbee River, they rested. While smoking tobacco, they dropped some fire. The Cherokee, of course, we know that the original name for Cherokee is Anion-Wea, just in case you didn't know. And it looks like in that word, Nani wa iya, it kind of sounds like Anion-Wea. Okay, but the original people, the Aborigines, they were called Aniyanwiya. Aniyanwiya. Okay, that's Aniyanwiya. Aniyanwiya. Of course, Cherokee was created, when during the time or the era when the five civilized tribes were being formed. All right, and more so that was created to pretty much get rid of the original people, the Aboriginals, and create something different, which is more structural in a sense of government wise, organization wise. Okay, so that's pretty much what the Cherokee is. Okay, and Aniyanwiya means principal people, which means the first people, and Cherokee means the burning people. So when I did the video with the gentleman from the Cherokee Nation, all my spirit was telling me was that the Cherokee people came and burned out the original people and hence created Cherokee. Okay, so just wanted to kind of share that history with y'all. Okay, now they also sunned themselves on the eastern rampart, and when they got dry, they followed the trail of the other tribe at the place where the Muskogees had stopped and rested, and where they had smoked tobacco. A fire had burned the woods. The Cherokees could not find the Muskogee Trail, so they trickled to the north where they settled and made a homeland. The Chickasaws came third out of Naniyaweya. They sunned themselves on the eastern rampart. When they got dry, they followed the Cherokees trail and settled close to the Cherokees. The Choctaw came fourth and last out of Naniyaweya. They sunned themselves on the earthen rampart, and when they got dry, did not go anywhere but settled down on the spot. And this land is the Chickasaw, the Choctaw's home. Note, this old story was told to Henry Harbert by Isaac Piston No Toby, a Mississippi Choctaw around 1870. Harbert took the story down word for word in Choctaw and then translated it. It explains the origin of the southern nations. Naniyaweya is a real place in Mississippi where today one may visit the great earthen mound. The Muskogees refer the great nation. Muskogee means people of the earth in the Creek language. Okay, let us continue. And we now going to go over the code talkers. So let me download that PDF right here. And I'm going to stop sharing the screen real quick and we'll go to that PDF. All right. Stop sharing that and go to the PDF. Give me 1 second. PDF. Code talkers. Here we are. Okay, let's build that up a little bit. All right, there we go. The code talkers. The use of American Indians as code talkers was not new to the U.S. military prior to World War II. During the World War I, both the Cherokee and the Choctaw languages were utilized for coded messages. Cherokee was the first Indian language used to transmit a coded second battle of the Sumi. According to the division signal officer, this took place in September 1918 while the Americans were under British command. All right, just so y'all know. Okay, well, I'll get to that in a few, but let me continue here. I don't want to jump ahead of myself because you know me. When I get into that, I'm always getting excited, and then for some reason I'm all over the place. So let me stay focused, okay? So let me just continue reading. Second native Indian language used was Choctaw. They helped the American expeditionary force when several key battles in the Meuse-Argonne campaign in France during the final big German push of the war. The Americans were virtually surrounded and the Germans were breaking every coded message they sent. When Captain Lawrence overheard two of the Choctaw Indians in the battalion talking in their native tongue, he was hit with an idea to use their language as a code. He gathered all the chapter speaking Indians and began using them to send messages to test this theory. The Germans, who had tapped into the phone lines, were going nuts trying to break this new code. In just a few short hours, the tide had turned and the Germans were forced to retreat. The Comanche language was also used in World War II, but only in the European campaign. 14 Comanche code talkers took part in the invasion of Normandy and continued to serve in the 4th Infantry Division until Germany surrendered. There were other Indian languages used, but none as widely effective as the Navajo Dine. They are the largest Native American tribe living in the Southwest. Their language was only spoken in the Navajo lands. This meant that very few knew of the language. Its syntax and tonal qualities, not to mention dialects, make it unintelligibly to anyone without extensive exposure and training. One estimate indicates that at the outbreak of World War II, fewer than 30 Navajos, none of them Japanese, could understand the language. This made it a perfect language for the code talkers. Certain English military words were not used by the Navajo. This meant that they had to incorporate some new phrases to describe them. A pen was known as an ink stick, and a potato was used for a grenade. These abbreviated terms are still used by the military today. The Navajo code talkers took part in every assault the U.S. Marines conducted from 1942 to 1945. At the Iowa Jimma, Major Howard Connor, 5th Marine Division signals officer, had 6 Navajo code talkers working around the clock during the first 2 days of the battle. These 6 sent and received over 800 messages, all without error. Connor later stated, were it not for the Navajos, the Marines would never have taken Iowa Jimma. The Navajo code talkers were commended for their skill. Speed and accuracy accrued throughout the war. As the war progressed, additional words were added to the code and incorporated program-wide. In other instances, informal shortcut codes, words were devised for a particular campaign, not disseminated beyond that area of operation. To ensure a consistent use of code terminologies throughout the Pacific Theater, representative code talkers of the U.S. Marine divisions met in Hawaii to discuss shortcomings in the code, incorporate new terms into the system, and update their code books. Although the Japanese were very skilled at breaking codes, they could not break the code of the Navajo language. It is said by high military officers that the World War II might have had a different outcome without the help of the code talkers. They were also used in Korea, and shortly after the beginning of the Vietnam War, it was then the use of code talkers ended. Give me a second here. I went too far down. Okay, here we go. It wasn't until September 1972 that the Navajos were first honored by their country. In 1982, the code talkers were given a certificate of recognition by the U.S. President Ronald Reagan, who also named August 4th Navajo Code Talkers Day. June 8th, 2000 update. Navajo code talkers honored after 56 years. The Associated Press reported that the U.S. Senate had anonymously approved a proposal that would grant congressional gold medals to the original 29 Navajo code talkers who served during World War II. July 2001, 29 Native Americans were finally honored by Congress for ancient language skills that helped the United States in win World War II. President Bush personally presented the Congressional Gold Medal to 4 surviving code talkers. The 5th living code talker was not able to attend at a ceremony held in the Capitol Rotunda in Washington, D.C. Gold medals were presented to the families of the 24 code talkers no longer living. September 17th, 2007. 18 Choctaw code talkers were posthumously, I think that's what it's called, posthumously awarded the Texas Medal of Valor from the Adjutant General of the State of Texas for their World War I service. December 13th, 2007. House Resolution 4544, the Code Talkers Recognition Act, was introduced to the House of Representatives. This act recognizes every code talker who served in the United States military with Congressional Gold Medal for his tribe and a silver medal duplicate to each code talker, including 8 Misquakis. Now, I put the extra read all about it, and I put a link and ask, did you know that a lot of the Army helicopters were named after American Indian tribes? But the link, for some reason, I thought it would have been clickable, but it's not. So what I did was I just looked it up, another link. But basically, you'll get the gist of what I'm going to be sharing with you. Okay, all that stuff is on our website, so feel free to check it out. Okay. Let me stop sharing that and let's go here. Give me 1 second and I'm gonna share this with y'all. Boom. Boom. Now, here we are. And I'm gonna take that and put that link in the chat for you guys when I'm done, okay? Why Army helicopters have Native American names? You may have noticed there's a pattern in U.S. Army helicopters names Apache, Black Hawk, Chinook, and others. These crucial aircraft are all named after Native American tribes or figures. But have you ever wondered why? The United States military has a long history with Native Americans. Armed conflicts between the two were commonly known as the American Indian Wars and were fought intermediately from the time the U.S. was first settled by Europeans to early in the 20th century. But Native Americans also served as some of the fiercest fighters for the United States for more than 200 years. In fact, 32 Native Americans have earned the nation's highest military award, the Medal of Honor. Now, I'm going to say this, okay, out of all respect. I'm not here to, take anything away from people who call themselves natives. All right. I'm certainly sure they served and well, and by all means, they deserve, their medals and all that. What I don't like is the fact that, our people that served, that they call Black, are actually the original American Indians, the Aborigines. And, I don't like the fact they're being honored, or they were honored as African Americans. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna give you my personal opinion why those helicopters are called or named after American Indian tribes or figures. For one, okay, and you have to realize everything, there's spirituality in it. All right, and this land, the entire Americas, is sacred land. Okay, the entire American continent is the most sacred land on the planet. Now, a lot of times people may say, well, Chief, you're biased. Well, yes, I'm being biased, but it's biased truth, because it is the truth. Okay. So with that being said, America has always been, that. So the spirit of our ancestors are always there to protect the land. So the U.S. Army know what they're doing. Helicopters take flight. Our ancestors are already in flight, so they are going to protect the land. You see what I'm saying? Let me tell you something, okay? These people have strategized so well that it's not even funny, but at the same time, it's funny. But it's brilliant. You see what I'm saying? Because they're using the energy of the aboriginal people and people that are native, okay, to fight their wars, win the wars, but at the same time oppress us. You see what I'm saying? So they're using the spirits of our ancestors to take flight, to go into other people's nation and kill, destroy, maim, rape. You see what I'm saying? In the name of defending this land, and our ancestors' spirit are the ones that's doing that. You see what I'm saying? So we have to know that there's a madness behind everything. You see what I'm saying? Now, that's just my personal interpretation of that. Whatever reason they have, I'm certainly sure that has something to do with it. You feel me? They will not tell you that, oh, well, Chief Kalanago is correct. But no, it's a spiritual thing. Because our ancestors will not allow our motherland, especially the land that gave birth to the world, okay, be destroyed. You see what I'm saying? But again, what do I know, right? The tradition of naming helicopters after Native Americans was once an official regulation. The regulation no longer stands, but the tradition continues, okay? Because it was a regulation, all right? It was a regulation. Why would you make it a regulation to name your helicopters after the people, okay, that you came, rape, steal, and kill, okay? Fought over 200 wars with them. Let me tell y'all something, family. The United States has never won a physical war against the American Indians, and that's facts. They have never won a physical war against the American Indians. You know why? Because we're the fiercest warriors on the planet, and they know this. That's why they have to keep our people dumbed down. They have to keep them stupid. They have to keep them lost. They have to keep them out of status. They will not tell them they are the Aborigines, because the moment they admit that, they already know what's going to happen. They already know. And that's facts. So it was regulated that they had to name. Because like how we bring in all these armies, and we got France, we got Germany, we got Ireland, we got Scotland, we got Britain, all these different places. And we cannot beat these savages. We call the Indians, we call the savages. Why we can't beat them physically? Why? Because our ancestors were fighting with us and for us. You see what I'm saying? But they had to take all that away from us. Give us religion. Tell us, oh, well, you know what? Oh, doing rituals and setting up altars for your ancestors. Oh, it's pagan. Sacrificing this for your ancestors is pagan. But they got you drinking the blood of a man you never met. They want you to bathe in the blood of a man you never met that's going to save you one day. Okay? While, in every corner of our neighborhood, they got a million churches, but yet still people are dying from this pandemic. Everybody's starving, everybody's hungry. So where he at? Why he ain't show up? Oh, nah, you know what? You got to wait till you get to heaven to get that. Okay. All right. But anyway, let me don't get carried away. Let me stay on track. Here's how it all came about. According to an unnamed Army Museum official, the naming convention goes back to before the Air Force split from the Army in 1947, when Army General Hamilton Huez, or Hauser, whatever you want to pronounce that, was assigned to the Army Aviation. His mission was to develop doctrine and the way forward when it came to employing Army aircraft and how they would support war fighters on the ground. According to the museum official, Hauser wasn't a fan of the names of the first two helicopters, Hoover Flower and Dragonfly. So he laid out instructions for naming the helicopters after their abilities. Hauser said, since the choppers were fast and agile, they would attack enemy flanks and fade away, similar to the way the tribes on the Great Plains fought during the aforementioned American Indian War. So you see how they describe this? Very agile. Who are the most agile athletes on the planet right now? You see what I'm saying? So you have to look who took over football, who took over basketball. As a matter of fact, who invented hockey? You see what I'm saying? It was Aboriginals, so-called Black Indians in Nova Scotia, that they telling you is Africans, that created hockey in Nova Scotia. How in heaven's name Africans came from a slave ship into the Americas, okay, and created hockey on ice? What part of Africa had ice? Come on, man. Hockey. We invented that. Who was the first surfer in Hawaii? A brother. You see, they will never give us credit for that. All these people want to do, and when I say these people, the system, all they want to do, okay, is try to put us to the bottom of the barrel. Okay, make us think that we are the worst on the planet. Make us think we ain't worth nothing. You see what I'm saying? Because they want to annihilate us. You feel me? Because they have already used us for everything else and give credit to everybody else. You feel me? But it's not going to happen on my watch. You feel me? Nah, it's not going to happen because I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep teaching. Our people are going to learn one way or the other. I don't care if I have to go in the streets and talk to people, one individual at a time, because that's what I do anyway. I walk in the streets. Hey, do me a favor. Take my YouTube. Hey, follow me on Facebook. I'm spreading the word. I'm playing my part. A lot of you on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube playing games. I ain't got no time for games. I'm tired of seeing my people be at the bottom of the barrel and y'all over here playing games. Just today, I deleted 2 people because all I ever see on their posts is always, oh, well, the woman is this, or the man is that. If the man do this and the woman is always competing against each other. I don't want to see that on my news feed. If you're not about what I'm about, I'm going to delete you, period. Because birds of a feather flock together. I want to rock with people that want to make moves. When are you going to be tired of being sick and tired of being at the bottom? When? So call me crazy. But I know crazy people change the world. And I'm going to play my part to change the world. But anyway, I'm going to read that again. Hauser said, since the choppers were fast and agile, once again, who does that remind you of? Who are the fastest runners in the world? Jamaicans. Where's Jamaica? In America. You see what I'm saying? So stop always degrading us when you know we are the greatest. But yes, you degrade us enough to make us think we ain't nothing, but give us enough credit when it benefits you. And that's what the system does. You see what I'm saying? They would attack enemy flanks and fade away. That's what we used to do in them high heels, on them trees. They used to be on horses, and all of a sudden, they would see people falling. Why? Because Indians used to fly off trees. The most sharpest marksmen with bow and arrows. We have never lost a physical war. That's why they had to have us turn against each other, now killing each other. Because if the greatest warriors, they turn on each other, then listen, we don't have to fight them. We don't have to fight them. It's really that simple. Make us our own enemy. You feel me? But it says, similar to the way the tribes on the Great Plains fought during the aforementioned American Indian Wars, he decided the next helicopter produced, the well-known H-13 of MASH fame, would be called Sioux in honor of the Native Americans who fought Army soldiers in the Sioux Wars and defeated the 7th Cavalry Regiment at the Battle of Little Bighorn. Big up to my brother Brian Little. Okay, just so you know, Little is an American Indian name as well. Okay, because a lot of tribes or tribes or clans, whatever, the young ones, okay, that's like they would be names a lot of times after their fathers or elders, or the names would derive from things in nature, whether this was an animal, something from the heavenly realm, but it was always a little this or a little crow, a little wolf, little this, little that. Okay, so just so you know, that's where that name came from. Okay, just wanted to point that out. All right. Would let me see. That's likely how Army Regulation 70 to 28 was created in 1969. The regulation listed a criteria on how popular names would be given to major items of equipment. Name choices to had. All right, so I just wanted to kind of share that with you guys, and let me share another just in case y'all didn't know. Okay, just in case you didn't know. Let me share this with you real quick, because they will never tell us our greatness. They always want to take it and put it somewhere else. Oh, they're not from here. Okay, let me tell y'all something. Okay, and like I said, I didn't want to take anything away from Native Americans. They served, and they should be proud of their people. You see what I'm saying? Like I tell people, I don't do these lessons, or I don't teach to belittle anyone, to degrade anybody. No, I teach to put the truth out there. Anybody who want to come at me now, then you got a problem. But I'm just here to put the truth out. Now, I don't know if you guys know about David Goggins, but David Goggins is the toughest man alive. There's no doubt about it. Goggins is the only member of the U.S. Armed Forces to complete SEAL training, U.S. Army Ranger School, and Air Force Tactical Air Controller training. Any of those accomplishments alone would have been impressive, but that's not all. It's a whole lot more accomplishment. You see what I'm saying? That's an American Aborigine right there. So it was athletes like these and American Indians, they had fighting their wars like that. You feel me? When they were fighting for their freedom from their black kings and queens in London, Britain, the American Revolutionary War. We had to help them. We had to make decisions what side to be on. But at some point, we couldn't trust those so-called black brothers that came here to fight us first. So now we decided to take the side of the pale man. You see, a lot of people don't know the dilemma a lot of our people were in. Some stayed neutral. But I'm showing you all that to say, you see what I'm saying? His name is David Goggins. David Goggins. You could look him up. All right. In fact, let me take that link. In fact, I'm going to put both links in the chat for you guys. Now, do me a favor, guys. I know a lot of you, support, but please do not support. If you're going to give a donation, don't do it on the YouTube. Okay, go to the website and do it. All right. I ain't trying to mess with YouTube like that. Let me put the link for that other one for you guys on here. Go to the website and show your love. Okay, here we are. All right, good. So we got that out of the way. Let me go to the next one. So we went through the code talkers. Let me see where we at now. Boom. We're gonna go next. We're gonna go to the first fire. Okay. Let me pull up this, and all this is on our website. Okay, guys, just so y'all know. Okay. Where we at? Hold on for a second. Nope. Let me close that out. All right, close that out, and let's go to first fire. Oh, yes. All right, so guys, we're going to go over first fire. Here we are. The first fire. The following is the myth of the first fire and describes why some of the animals have the colors they do today. The main part of the myth also takes place at the end when the water spider, all right, Kananaski Amayahi. Okay. Give me 1 second here. Just in case I come across the word again in my reading, I got to make sure that, because that's a long word. Give me a second. Okay, cool. All right. The main part of the myth only takes place at the end when the water spider, okay, Kana na ski a ma yehi, or retrieves the fire for the man. The water spider motif was prominent in the mound culture and meant the same regardless of whether the mound group was in Illinois or Florida. Each mound complex had a sacred fire keeper with attendants, and his motif was the water spider. This was shown by the number of shells, copper, wood, and stone amulets engraved with the water spider. Notice in the myth that the water spider is one, female, same as the sun. Remember, I told y'all the sun is female. It has always been female until they change it into a masculine entity. All right. And we looked at the sun, a lot of our culture, the sun, that's why a lot of us, we were called the sun people. All right. Because of course, that means that we came from the sun, the woman. Okay. So the sun was always a feminine energy until, because of colonization, the patriarchs and that type of male chauvinistic trying to make sure women don't have a voice, they change it into a masculine entity. All right. But just so y'all know, it was female, and it still is female, because you change it by your choice. It doesn't mean it changes the nature or the femininity of the sun. Okay. Number 2, carries the fire on her back, the same as the shell engraving of which indicate fire on her back. This is called the sun circle and cross motif. This story may not have been exactly as what our ancestors had, but we must concede that the water spider was a symbol of great importance to them. The first fire. In the beginning, there was no fire. The world was cold until the thunders who lived up in Galvlati sent their lighting and put fire into the bottom of the hollow sycamore tree, which grew on an island. The animals knew it was there because they could see the smoke coming out of the top, but they could not get to it on the account of the water. They held a council to decide what to do. Okay, in our culture, major decisions wasn't just made. All right, it wasn't just a thing where the man say, "Hey, I'm gonna do this," or the woman say, "I'm gonna do this." No, there was a council. Okay, whether it was a council of elders, for the most part, it would have been a council of elders. You also had council of women, council of men. But when certain decisions were made, okay, that concerned the entire community or village, then it would be the council of elders. Okay, and to be an elder, one would have to be at least 50 years and above, but not just in age. They would have to have knowledge of the culture as well. All right. And there were very rare occasions where they would have, council people on the council that's under 50, when it comes to the council of elders. All right. There were rare exceptions where it did happen because they had the knowledge. All right. They even had children council. Okay. So every animal that could fly or swim was anxious to go after the fire. The raven, the kulanu, offered, and because he was so large and strong, they thought he could surely do the work. So the raven was sent first. He flew high and far across the water and aligned, well, it's supposed to be aligned, but it put aligned on the sycamore tree. But while he was wondering what to do next, the heat had scorched all his feathers black. He was frightened and came back without the fire. The little screech owl, Wahoo, volunteered to go and reach the place safely. While he was looking down into the hollow tree, a blast of hot air came up and nearly burnt out his eyes. He managed to fly home as best he could, but it was a long time before he could see well. His eyes are red to this very day. Then the hooting owl, Yuguku, and the horned owl, Kili, went, but the time they got to the hollow tree, the fire was burning so fiercely the smoke nearly blinded them. The ashes carried up by the wind made white rings around their eyes. They had to come home again without the fire, but with all the robin they were They were never able to get rid of the white rings. No more of the birds would venture. So the little Ushuhi snake, the black racer, said he would go through the water and bring back some fire. He swam across to the island and crawled through the grass to the tree. He went in by a small hole at the bottom. The heat and smoke were too much for him too, and after dodging about blindly over the hot ashes until he was almost on fire himself, he managed by good luck to get out again at the same hole. However, his body had been scorched black, and he has ever since had the habit of darting and doubling on his tracks as if trying to escape from close quarters. The great black snake, Guligi, the climber, offered to go for the fire. He swam over to the island and climbed up the tree on the outside, as the black snake always does. But when he put his head down into the hole, the smoke choked him so that he fell into the burning stump. Before he could climb out again, he was as black as a oksuni. Now they held another council, for there still no fire, and the world was cold. Birds, snakes, and four-footed animals all had some excuse for not going. They were all afraid to venture near the burning sycamore until at last the Kanana Ski A Ma Yehi, the water spider, said he would go. She would go. This was not the water spider that looks like a mosquito, but the other one with black downy hair and red stripes on her body. She could run on top of the water or dive to the bottom, so there would be no trouble to get over to the island. The question was, how could she bring back the fire? I'll manage that, said the water spider. So she spun a thread from the body and wove it into a tootsie bowl, which she fastened on her back. Then she crossed over to the island and through the grass to where the fire was still burning. She put a little coal of fire into her bowl, and she came back with it. Ever since, we have had fire, and the water spider still keeps her tootsie bowl. Okay, so that is the first fire, of course, and that's why, in the culture, fire dances was so important, because we had a high regards for fire and an appreciation for fire, because the world was so cold that we had to have the fire. Okay. All right. Let me stop sharing that and let's see what we have next. I think we have more. Yep, we got more. I think we got two more. All right, beautiful. We could go through that. We good. So we're going to talk about the long journey. Another story of the Naniawiya. Okay, let me share my screen. In fact, let me download the PDF. And all that stuff is on our website, just so y'all know. All right, the PDF is loading. Give me 1 second, please. Okay. And that's in Mound-The, Alabama, okay? And it was told by a Choctaw. Give me a second here. All right, let me just... let's share this screen. Here we are. Okay, showing up now. All right, there we go. The Long Journey, another story of the Naniawiya. That's Mound-The, Alabama. Okay. This story was told by Peter Folsom, a Choctaw, to H.S. Harbert in the late 1880s. Folsom relayed this story to Harbert from what Peter's father had told him when they visited Naniawiya in 1883. Peter came from the Western Territory as a Baptist missionary to the Mississippi Choctaws. The story mentions that the Choctaw and the Chickasaw was ruled by two twins. When they began to travel, they went north for a long ways west of Mississippi, and south is Mexico. Overpopulation is the catalyst which forces the Choctaw Chickasaw. The more stories we have of a journey of ancient peoples moving north, the more we may aid the historians in possible answer to the question, what happened to the Maya? We still here. It is a reliable old story as to how the Choctaw came to live near the Great Mound in Mississippi. It also shows no relationship of Choctaw to the people who built the mound. Like I told y'all before, the current American Indians, us, whether us or Native Americans, did not build the mound. It was the Aborigines. Okay, Aborigines descended the American Indians. Okay, and the American Indians descended the people that call themselves natives right now. Okay, because they were put in place. All right, but just know the Aborigines have been there from time immemorial. Okay, and it wasn't until 1492, when different groups were coming to mix with Aborigines, then the American Indian was created. Okay, just so y'all know. All right. From archaeological evidence, the Choctaw now have been shown to the directly related to the mound builders of Mississippian era, the long journey. And in ancient times, the ancestors of the Choctaws and Chickasaws lived in a country far away in the west. They lived in two clans and were ruled by two twin brothers, Choctaw and Chickasaw. As time passed, so many people were born that the land could no longer support them. There was not enough food to eat. The people looked for help to a great prophet. He told them, "We must leave this land and make our way to the east. There we will find a country with fertile soil and game of all kinds." The people prepared for the long journey. They marched by clan, with 7 days difference in their departing times. The great prophet marched at the head of the first group, carrying a pole. When camp was made each night, he planted the pole upright in front of the camp. "The pole will tell us which way to go," he said. First, the pole leaned north, and the people went in that direction. The journey led across streams, over mountains, through forests and barren prairies. The people always followed the direction in which the pole pointed each morning. They had traveled a great distance when they came to banks of Okinachito, the great waterway, Mississippi River. They camped for the night, and prophet planted the pole. The next morning, the pole leaned east across the river. "We must build rafts and cross the river, the great river," the prophet said. So the people felled trees and made 1,000 rafts to cross on. When they reached the other side, they found a beautiful country with green forests and streams. There was game of every kind and abundant fruits and flowers. "This surely is the end of our journey," the prophet said. "Let us settle here." But the pole still leaned to the east. At least the people came to a great mound and made camp beside it. The next morning they were awakened by the shouts of the prophet. "The pole stands straight. We have found our country. This mound is the center of our land." The mound came to be known as Naniaweia. That was the land that we had just talked about. The mound we had just talked about in the previous, the first mound. Okay. As it so happened, the group led by Chickasaw had crossed a creek further east and camped on its banks. During the night, a great rain began to fall. It lasted several days, and the creek flooded the low-lying land where Chickasaw and his clan camped. When the rain stopped, Chata sent a messenger to tell Chickasaw that the long-sought land had been found. But the Chickasaw clan had proceeded on their journey. The rain had washed away all the trace of them. Chata's messenger had to return with the news that his brother could not be found. Chickasaw's group moved on to the Tumbigby River and eventually became a separate nation. In this way, the Choctaws and the Chickasaws became two separate, though related nations. All right, so I just thought you guys would enjoy that piece of history. Okay, let us go to the, I think, the final one that we have. I think this is the last one. Why the eagle is sacred. Let me download the PDF. Alrighty, let's go. Okay, here we go. Let's wait for the PDF to load and we will go through the last one. Okay, why the eagle is sacred. All right. Why the egret is sacred. A long time ago. Hold on. I thought I turned my ringer off. Give me a second. All right, there we go. A long time ago, there was this human boy that was found by the birds. They did not know what to do with him, so they held a council. All right. Even the birds had counsel. Like I said, everything was about counsel, family. We just didn't, you see, we didn't live a life of individuality. We were taught that. And that's what I'm making an attempt to bring back. But I know it's going to take time, okay, because we have gone through so much of distrusting each other. I mean, and yes, with reason, you know what I'm saying? But we got to start healing again, where we're able to trust each other and have counsels, because that's our culture. We did not live this life of individuality. That's why we are so separate, divide and conquer. That's why we are so easily being infiltrated. You feel what I'm saying? So what I'm attempting to do is a whole lot bigger than just coming on here and doing videos. You feel me? Let's bring back the culture. Let's bring back the nature. Let's bring back community. Let's bring back village. Let's bring back the clans. Let's bring back the tribes. All right. So let's read this again. Why the egret is sacred. A long time ago, there was this human boy that was found by the birds. They did not know what to do with him, so they held a council. The birds were in agreement that he needed a home, but they argued on who would take him to raise. They decided to let him decide who he would be raised by and told him to go out and come back in 7 days to tell them. Okay, seven, seven. The number 7 was always a high frequency number, a sacred number. Okay, just so you know. Even in so many different cultures, the number 7 is a high frequency number. All right. The boy went out and walked among the birds to see which one would raise him. He went out and saw the spotted owl, who was painting his feathers, and said, "See my pretty feathers? See my pretty feathers? Surely you will choose me." He walked and saw the golden eagle. He was combing his feathers with a comb. The eagle said, "See my feathers? They are so pretty. Surely you will choose me." The boy walked on and saw 2 hawks arguing over whose feathers were the prettiest. He walked on. He became sad and went to the stream to get some water. There he saw the egret, who was fishing. The boy asked, "Why are you not home fixing your feathers or trying to impress me?" The egret told the boy that he was a father and had to feed his family. If he didn't, they would go hungry. After the 7 days, the boy went to the council house. All the birds were there and asked the boy if he had chosen. And he said yes. They were all sitting on the edge of their seats. And he said that he chose the egret. They all asked why. while you were all out making yourselves pretty, the egret was taking care of his family. If I am going to be raised, I want a good father that feeds his family first and does not think about arguing and vain things in life. They all were in agreement, and the boy went to live with the egret. To this day, the egret is the most sacred of the birds for his selfless act. His pure white feathers stands for peace and purity. Well, and with that being said, another reason why the father was so important in our culture, because the father was the one that used to go hunting to come take care of his family. All right, until they came up with a grand scheme to put our women on welfare and had them turn against the father. So you could only get the help if you get rid of the father. And look what happened as a result of that. Okay, so, and I'm not here to cast any blame. I'm just letting you know how things transpired. Okay, as men, we love our children. We took care and we still take care of our children. All right, but this system has turned us against each other. And a lot of us are too blind to see that. All right. And we refuse to get underneath the curse of this system. All right. So, guys, here you go. Just like I said, I just wanted to come and share that with you guys. Been on here for almost an hour right now. I think that was perfect timing, great timing to share that information. Again, please do your research, but just share the stories with your children. You know what I mean? Let them learn and know who they are. Teach them a little something. There's enough on the site to teach them a whole lot than what they knew before. So take advantage of that, please. All right. I personally think that, it's time, for us to step up. And that's why every time I go on my page, I look to see who's posting what. If it's not in accordance with what, my direction, I'm just deleting people. I can't tell you what to post. You know what I'm saying? Because you have free will, but I do have the free will to determine what I want to see on my timeline. That's what I'm about. Okay. We don't have time to be playing around and playing games. All right. We have a whole lot of catching up to do. And I'm not even sure if there's enough tomatoes to catch up, but by the grace of our ancestors, I just don't believe. I know we are going to catch up. Okay. So I'm going to continue pressing and pushing and teaching and standing for the rights of us American Aborigines. Okay. Like I told y'all, I'm working on a declaration. I'm working on a lot of things, but we have some things to put in place first. So that's being done. All right. There's a whole lot more information I got to come and bring to you guys. So enjoy the site. Appreciate you guys. Love y'all. You guys have an amazing continuation, and don't forget to go to the site and support. Okay. Thank you so much.